Hey everyone, welcome to the Memento Futurum or Remembering the Future Poetcast. This is Vanessa Lamort, your host, and today we are talking to Miss Michaela Bean. Mick is always in motion, navigating space and time as a dreamer, artist, pharmacist, and curator of good atmosphere. They've lived many lives as many entities and recently found themselves embodying their dreams in this life. Mick creates and occupies space in Providence, Rhode Island, where they research and teach by day and write poetry, sing songs, and keep good company by night. Mick wrote their first poetry book, Full Time Job, last year, which will materialize in spring of this year, 2024. You can find their poetry archive at leaveyourblues.com and follow along with their songwriting journey at Love Puppet on Instagram. And I will be linking all of that. So, welcome, Michaela.
Hey, I'm excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm so excited. And, one of the things that this space I think really brings me into, it's just like, it just feels very liminal every time I'm on a podcast with somebody and we're like in this shared field and having this conversation. And, we're recording this during the Aquarius season. I'm an Aquarius. My birthday was yesterday. Hey, 33 years.
Yay. Yay. Ooh, ooh, good one. Good one. My birthday is 3-3, so I always get excited
Okay,
when there's a 33.
yeah, the numbers. That's funny. I was wondering why. I was like, every person lands astrologically perfectly placed. So that's just my own little thing. And yeah, the Christ consciousness years, what they say that 33 is. So,
Mhm.
I have some work to do around peace and love. But that's my update. Um, but I was thinking about you as a, what is it, quadruple Pisces? Is that four?
Yeah.
Okay. And just Pisces as the sign, first of all, is of Christ consciousness. So there's a really fun little synchronistic intersection happening already. I'm always here for the synchronicity, you know that.
Me too.
Um, and um, and Pisces as the sign of like the artist, the dreamer. Um, I mean, we could say it's illusions. There's so many different things, but yeah, just like bringing you here into this space feels really exciting and juicy today because I'm so curious to hear from your perspective, like from you with your astrology, like how you experience the world and how you experience art and just like all of it. So, um,
Yay.
yeah, first of all, let's talk about full-time job.
Okay.
I don't know why I want to
Uh,
start there, but I do. I'm like,
let's do it. No, I have it pulled up in case this happened.
yeah.
Yeah, so this is something I've wanted to do for a long time. First, it's a collection of poetry that I've written, I would say as like going as far back as 2019 up until October of last year, 2023.
Wow.
And I was really inspired to put it together because I have a very talented best friend, as I know that you do as well. I have a very talented artist best friend who makes books. They're amazing, and I'll give them a shout out. Their name is Key Thayer, and that's their Instagram handle is key.thayer. And they wanted to collaborate on a book, and they're a Capricorn. And I'm always afraid of not impressing them. So I really decided to commit to the bit and give them the best collection of poetry that I had to date. And it's really special because I went through a rigorous like commenting period with this book, and a close group of also very talented artists reviewed it for me and gave me feedback that only helped strengthen it. So
Wow.
yeah, it was the first time that I've done a collaboration of that scale, and it felt really important to just accept that gift last year and push myself to give this gift to myself. I've never had my work published, and Kiki is hand binding all of the books, so it's like a very special project to me.
What you said that I'm if only you could see my face. Maybe this needs to be a video podcast. You said that they're hand. binding all of the books?
Yes, so they're designing the book cover to cover, and we had a discussion about actually how many books we were going to make for this edition. Since they're hand binding all of the books, that would help them guide their decision on what method to use to bind it. And we decided that there will be 33 copies in the edition.
No,
So,
mm, no freaking way.
yeah,
Oh my
yeah,
goddess. Spirit with this whole divine orchestration situation. It's always
yeah,
happening. We know that. But
we do.
okay, so I love that. And I love that you named the years because, whenever I'm starting something like this, with someone and I bring somebody on, I'm like, why do I ask the questions the way that I do? But, it's just so intuitive and it's so interesting because I'm curious to ask now, like, how would you say you transformed between 2019 and 2023? Like,
That
tell
is
me
such
about
a
that.
loaded question.
I'm
Yeah,
sure.
that is I love that question because this is something that I've been working with a lot just in my own healing journey and who I'm becoming. And um I started recently retyping up my personal journals that go back to 2019 as well. So I think that that was like a significant turning point in my life where I decided on some level that I needed to document what I was going through in my journey and take that seriously and honor that. So I was still a baby in 2019. That's 5 years ago now. Yeah. So I was 21, 22, still in pharmacy school at that point. I think that was the year that I ended my long term relationship with my college boyfriend and shaved my head and just had
Mhm.
this whole awakening. Honestly, I realized that I had been living my life so for other people and to be of service for other people. And that's something that I still value. I love helping and supporting the people in my life as best as I can. But I was definitely doing it to my detriment at that point, and I decided to step into my own life, or so I thought. I took the first step into stepping into my own life in 2019. And ever since then, it's just been about reaffirming that decision at
Mhm.
every phase of my life, every day, just reaffirming that this is my journey and I have ownership over parts of it and not other parts of it.
Mhm.
And it's all happening all the time, so I got to keep moving. But I would say since 2019 I've really just become more in tune with sitting in my own energy. I feel like I was all over the place before then. I feel like before 2019 I was everyone except for myself, and since then has been about stepping into what Mick or Michaela or Mickey or Bean is,
Mhm.
like what that means.
It's so incredible. I mean, and to hear you say it, like hear it quadruple Pisces speak in that way, it's just really I value all of the signs and I'm just so interested to hear different people's experiences and just like that
Mhm.
astrological lens. This is something that I come with and um yeah, like all of that Piscean energy which can get so lost in other people. And like to hear you say that, I'm like, wow, that's so victorious,
Yeah.
and special because I feel like when a Pisces is very centered in their own being, they're so powerful. Like the gifts that come from these people, like you, like I'm just like, oh my Lanta.
Yeah, I really feel like I was doing myself a disservice by almost hiding. I think I was afraid of what power could look like
Mm,
if held by me, which is
mm,
wild. Um, because I was just so used to having my power overridden or taken away that it became second nature to voluntarily give it away.
mhm,
And I just was so out of touch with my own rhythm and my creative desires, my desire to live a good life, that coming back to that has been really awesome and refreshing and cool to witness myself grow in that way.
wow. So like my question now is I mean, to go from 2019 to now and like feeling the contrast in your journey and like what you come with, like what I feel when I drop in with you is like this super creative, like artistic, liminal, dreamy being. But then there's like this very scientific Michaela in there, with like the pharmacy bit and like that kind of mental structure, like organization. I don't know. I feel all these different things. And I'm just curious to ask, so within that, finding personal power and through your art or through your process, like, I mean, are there identifiable shifts? Like, do you have a sense of like what it is that you changed that kind of brought you from one phase to the next?
Yeah, it was my entire frame of reference for reality. I honestly believe that pre 2019, I felt like things were being done to me.
Mm,
And then I started looking at it as things happening for me,
mm.
or I could make things happen. And that, like, having that accountability almost brought me to a whole new level of just functioning. Like, I felt re energized.
Yeah, like the personal responsibility and like coming out of victim narratives.
Yeah, and I just felt like my Cancer rising take over. Like I felt a push and a tug at the same time. Like there was something bigger than me telling me to step into my journey, but then I also felt like this umbilical tug to like return to form almost.
Wow. I mean, wow. And how did this like shift your interpersonal relationships or family dynamics? Like, I'm just curious to hear about that.
Yeah. I mean, there were definitely a lot of relationships that I lost because I realized that if I was not putting in 100% of the effort to maintain that relationship, it wasn't going to survive. And just knowing that those connections were kind of disposable to other people caused a lot of atrophying of my social circle. It definitely um, felt like I was losing people for unclear reasons at times. And then I realized it was just because they weren't willing to do the energetic upkeep to stay in my life or to be present with me as I decided to grow.
Hmm.
So that was kind of like a reality check, to know that like not everyone is just a cheerleader for me out of the goodness of their hearts, and to
Hmm.
like realize that like people do prioritize themselves. As I was trying to prioritize myself, it felt like a conflict of interest to keep entertaining these things. So it definitely like pulled me away from some people, and I wouldn't say that's a bad thing. But it more than anything, it made me just like more discerning about who gets what and like how
Hmm.
much I can give, and just re-examining my capacity for nurturing relationships. And I would say that's very much continued drastically into this phase of my life. Like I would say I just closed out a cycle in August of revisiting that kind of giving away my power voluntarily to people thing.
Hmm.
And um now I feel more empowered than ever to just be discerning about what I share with who, and who gets to witness me and who I witness.
Hmm. That's so incredible. I mean, that kind of that level of boundary work and then just like seeing um like the truth of the relationships or why people stick around. It's so interesting like the part where you said like being a cheerleader out of the goodness of their heart. It's something that's come up in my own sphere too. It's like sometimes I find that I attract like hype people,
Yeah.
and that's exciting sometimes because it's like wow, they're like really into what I'm doing or whatever. But discovering sometimes that that is more on the self-serving side for them,
Mm-hmm.
and like the imbalance that that creates or distortion that that creates in a friendship.
Yeah.
I don't know if this relates to what you're talking about, but that's how I'm relating to what you're talking about.
No, that's exactly like the zoomed out version of what I was hinting towards.
Yeah, and I think it's a little, I mean, personally, it's a little uncomfortable for me. because I like I deep a lot of these people I deeply deeply love and care for, but at the same
Hmm.
time it's like this is I think in a way that kind of energy keeps people on both ends from really being in their true self and true purpose,
Yeah,
you know? And so I think kind of like admitting it or like, taking the blinders off and looking at things with eyes wide open around those kinds of dynamics is very helpful so that we can see ourselves and then see like, why am I here? Or how did I get here? Or why do I have the friends that I have? Like, I don't know. It's just,
right.
it's very, very, very interesting to me. And I
It's
think it,
interesting to me too.
yeah, say more. I was gonna jump in, but say more.
No, it's just as you were talking about that, I was like, yeah, this is something that I found interesting for a long time because my best friend Kiana is a very discerning person by nature, and they have told me about vibes that they've gotten from certain people before, or they're just very clear about like who they like and who they don't like, and who comes off as having ulterior motives, we'll say. And
Hmm.
that's something that I admired in them for a long time and made a conscious effort to like learn from them once I started realizing that's what was happening in my life. And that practice is exhausting, but so freeing to just have more energy to feed back into myself. And I
Hmm.
think that's the positive reinforcement of like learning
Hmm.
um, that way of looking at things. But yeah.
Yeah, no, that's just so, I think it's all really, really valuable. And I think it's good to bring voice to because, other artists in different, mediums will be listening to this. And I think that there's something there around this type of dynamic, particularly in this sphere. I can't say that I don't want to like overgeneralize, but there's something around like when people see you doing your art or like living your dream, they like want to be in on that. And I think that's exciting. And, I definitely invite people like into that. But then if there is the dynamic in place where they're not willing to live their own dream, you know,
Yeah.
live out their own art, like do the work, then it's like that's the weird thing. It's like a weird entanglement, enmeshment situation that
Yeah.
can happen. And I don't know, it's like almost like you sometimes it's jealousy, sometimes it's projections, sometimes it's like all this stuff and then you find yourself in a really muddied place.
Hmm.
So anyway, I don't know how this relates to
I
anything.
I know exactly how it relates.
Okay.
Um because I just realized when you were talking what poem my document landed on in my book.
Oh.
Um and I don't know if I could read it.
Yeah, I was gonna
I
say, do you
just
want to read it? Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, I think that it just okay, I'm just going to read it.
Okay.
Okay, it's called Grit. Day in and day out, I slam my body with all of my might up against my perception of the perception of others perceiving me. Each and every surface is reflective and enchanting, snatching up bits of soul and dead skin, greedily, hungrily twisting narratives until they blanch and pucker. The first thing I do when I wake up in the morning is pull out all my teeth one by one, sharpen them each on a fine gritted stone, and reinsert them in a different order.
Whoa. Can hold on. Can you read it again, but slowly? Because
Yeah, definitely.
my
Okay.
my heart's doing flips. Okay.
Okay. It's called Grit again. Day in and day out, I slam my body with all of my might up against my perception of the perception of others perceiving me. Each and every surface is reflective and enchanting, snatching up bits of soul and dead skin, greedily, hungrily twisting narratives until they blanch and pucker. The first thing I do when I wake up in the morning is pull out all my teeth one by one, sharpen them each on a fine gritted stone, and reinsert them in a different order.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, the words that like really brought me into the space with you. We're like the slamming the body, of course, the
Hmm.
sharpening the teeth, like whoa. And then the word pucker in the middle,
Hmm.
I was like, oh, like, did I just hit a lemon? Like, what's happening? And like,
I'm
go ahead.
I'm just glad it reads that way.
Yeah, no, wow. Where, if I can ask, like, is there a date on this? Like, what's the story behind it, if there is one?
Oh, that's actually a good question. I would have to see where it lands on my poetry archive, but I do think that this poem was inspired by getting like gut punched by a co-star horoscope. Um,
Oh,
they have
wow.
like sometimes that app just says rude things to me, and I think that it was a horoscope like you don't have to run into every emotion with your full body. Like you don't have to throw yourself fully at anything you feel. And I that was news to me.
Whoa, uh-huh. Yeah.
So I was like, what does that actually mean? And I had just been getting really frustrated about like kind of, I don't know, I feel like the way that people perceive each other on social media is like looking through five kaleidoscopes like taped end to end, and it's just so it can be so distorted, and the way that people intend things that they this is not just even on social media but in real life, like the way that people intend the things that they say or do versus how that is picked up, like just like Marlena says, it's
Mhm.
like silly of us to try to control people's perceptions of us. I was investigating like why am I even stressed about it if I'm just perceiving being perceived? Like
Mhm.
that has no moral value judgment, that has no actual weight. Like I'm just actioning an action. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's so funny you mention her. She comes up like in every session.
She's everywhere. She's
She's
on my mind
everywhere.
a lot.
Marlena. So I think I mentioned this in another episode, but like the thing that you said, she will say all the time, what other people think of you is none of your business, so drop it.
Yep.
And I'm like, ooh, sister. Like
Yeah. It's
it's
good.
it's good. It's I think in a way, the way she says it sometimes is arresting. Like,
Yeah.
wow, you're right. Like, okay, you got me. You're correct. And like, okay, reorienting. Um,
Mhm.
I like what you said about how you were processing the co-star bit and like you don't have to throw yourself at every emotion
Yeah.
feeling that and how that was news to you because first of all I think that's a very water sign thing to say and I think that's really good information like because as a double Aquarius I can be so detached from my emotions like on a
Hmm.
whole on the other polarity in a not good way and,
Yeah.
and but I have those moments too where it's like just in it you're just like in it
Hmm.
and like you're I say you I'm not projecting I one person here um just like in it and can't see anything else other than just like that is the feeling we are in and that's almost like sometimes like when you wake up from a bad dream and you're like wait there's a whole other world over here and it's just like so crazy how like that can happen like just being in those really deep emotional states um
Yeah.
So I don't know. I just feel like it's really special and useful. This is why I am so thankful to get to talk to artists and poets because I think it's these kind of people, people like yourself, that are bringing language like to these subtle places, you know?
Yeah.
They're things that
Yeah.
everybody feel, I think, but like maybe don't have the language for or they're not slowing down or taking the time to actually be in it, but I think everybody knows what it feels like to be like sucker punched by an emotion and not be able to like feel anything else, you know?
Absolutely. Yeah. I think that the where it gets a little cloudy is um people like us artists kind of latch onto those places for creative drive sometimes.
Yes.
And then it's like, okay, I have to not be self-injurious in my pursuit of like connecting or understanding with other people. But it's so beautiful to like write or express something genuine and then have that echoed in people who maybe couldn't articulate it. I think that's the gift of making art.
Hmm. I like that you said not to be self-injurious because that's, I think, a whole other kind of like level of
Yeah.
integrity with the self, especially in the artistic process.
But yeah.
You know, it's like, how long am I going to sit here?
Yes, like, okay, I don't need to paint like 6 hours a night for 6 nights straight, or I don't need to keep writing songs about this one bad relationship I had because it was really bad and gave me a lot of like fuel
Yeah.
for, yeah, no.
Mm-hmm. I get that. Um, so, okay, full-time job is coming out
April
uh
2nd.
April 2nd. Okay. And I'm curious to ask, like, so kind of switching gears a little bit, but I mean, how do you sense your intersection between, um, like, your background in pharmacy, and you said now you're researching,
Yeah.
and art? Like, is there an intersection? Do they feel like really separate worlds? Like, or does one inform the other? I'm just curious.
Yeah. I would say that it's all informed by my desire to communicate and like make things accessible to
Mm,
others, like make ideas accessible to others. I think I was lost for a long time in pharmacy school because I wasn't merging the two halves of me, like the really artistic, um, kind of dreamy person, and then the rational, like logic going to pharmacy school
mm-hmm,
person.
mm-hmm,
I felt like I was at odds with myself a lot throughout my training, and it took me being in the not great job I was telling you about offline,
mm-hmm,
to realize that coming back to working in the kind of pharmacy I'm doing now, is really important and healing, and that's because I'm working towards hopefully teaching pharmacy students in the future. And I've been working with some students recently, and that's kind of where everything connects. I think I just love musing ideas with people, and um, my fellow pharmacists can be really excited about the way a new medication works, or we just learned something new about a new target for a disease that we didn't think we could treat, but now we might be able to treat it because we've identified something.
mm,
And it's all very creative and exciting to be around people who get excited about ideating as much as I do.
mm-hmm,
And then to see that reflected in people who are just learning about this stuff, like I've seen a few of my students have like wow moments, like, oh, I just understood that for the first time moments, which has been such a gift. I love that. I love like realization and connecting dots. So that drives me, and I feel like that's what I give myself through my art is self-realization and connecting dots about the way I felt about something or the way I internalized or processed something. So I think all of this just comes from my love of learning forever and being able to talk about what I'm learning with other people.
wow. I mean, like, you really brought me into your world, and I'm like, it's just so, I don't know, it's just so different for me. Like, listening to you, I'm like, I'm just like, I have other questions now, like, so unique. Um, Curious to ask kind of like an off the wall question, which is, do you have a favorite medication, or like when I say favorite, I mean like, I mean, it could mean anything to you, but like one that maybe you're excited by, or you find it very interesting. Like, I'm just really curious to ask this because, like, I don't really know much about pharmacology.
Yeah.
So, and now I'm like, my Aquarius brain is like, ask all of the questions.
um, that's hilarious. My mentor is also an Aquarius, and it was her birthday 2 days ago, and I love her.
Oh my
Um,
gosh.
So, just a quick response. But the first thing that came to my mind when you asked if I had a favorite medication was just ibuprofen. I
Okay.
just love her. And I'm gendering ibuprofen. I don't know why. But, um, and the reason for that is just I had awful cramps yesterday, and ibuprofen saved me from my cramps, alleviated them.
Mm-hmm.
But I would say, like, I'm more interested in where some of our drugs come from than like any specific drug or any
Yeah.
specific mechanism. Like, I love natural products. That was something that I was always excited about. And I would say, like, an area of interest that I hope to learn more about in the future is, well, I'm kind of outing myself as a Pisces by saying this again. I didn't even realize until I stopped myself from saying it, but I'm just really interested in like what medications we can make from sea creatures or like algae that we haven't even come in contact with yet in like a scientific setting. Like, I just
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
have this theory in my heart. I think this is true, and I'm being vulnerable right now. And this is also off topic a little bit, but I believe that the ocean and outer space are the same thing, basically. Like, I think that the
Mm-hmm.
ocean is just a hole to outer space. I don't think it's like water. I think when you enter the ocean, you're entering outer space. And
Okay.
so I I wouldn't say like I like feel that in my heart. Like, I want that to be true. I wouldn't say that like I'm hitching my wagon to like this is true or I will freak out. Like, I'm just saying in my heart, the ocean and outer space feel like the same thing to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that the more we dive into the ocean and like what like some of the amazing properties of marine life and just the conditions that they survive, the fact that they exist in places that we as humans cannot physically access wows me. And I think that so much potential for future medications that could do wonders for treating people lie in the depths of the ocean. So,
That is the most amazing, genuine like answer I've ever like I just in the question that I asked, I'm like, I'm just like smiling ear to ear because it's so amazing. Like I have so I keep just saying this. I have so many other questions, but here we go. Um I'm full of questions today. But anyway, um first of all, I had this vision when we were talking of curly, what are they called? Curly sea bunnies, like the sea
oh,
slugs.
oh yes, yes, yes.
And I was like, why am I seeing that? I didn't say it because you were talking. And then now I'm like, I know why. That was interesting to hear you talk about sea creatures and algae. And I'm like, wow, it's so aquatic. And I think that's very special. Like, it feels very hopeful, and that, there's, I don't know, like a whole other realm that can be um, discovered, and perhaps maybe I don't know, not necessarily discovered, perhaps like just like um
Like, interacted with.
yeah, yeah. And I do think so. I was laughing with you about the space ocean because so I've had these dreams where I go on a spaceship, and then the spaceship people take me down, down, down into the ocean and into this stargate in the bottom of the ocean. And then we go to space. Like, this has happened multiple times, so I've had this has become part of my own, that's in my own reality.
Yes, I love this.
So I'm like, oh yeah, that makes complete sense to me. Duh.
Thank
Um,
you.
how do other people not know this? I'm just kidding, but
That is how I feel about it, though. I'm like, the answer is right in front of us. The ocean is outer space.
I mean, have we talked to octopus and squid? I mean, they are so intelligent. They
They
mimic,
are.
the cosmos to me.
Oh,
Um,
yes.
I don't know. Anyway, that's a whole other podcast. Um, now, okay, I feel like we're kind of coming to the end, but the one question I wanted to ask you, which is kind of
Mm.
informed by our conversation offline. So, quadruple Pisces. I was like, oh, this is like mermaid. But I wanted to ask, like, so if you were a mermaid, could you give us like a description in your best detail, what kind of mermaid that would be? And then I'll go.
Yes, yes. So, we did start talking about this. Well, I started rambling about it when when you said that my astrological placements were like I'm basically a mermaid because I'm a Pisces, Sun, Moon. No, sorry, Sun, Mercury, Venus, and MC, and then Sagittarius Moon and Cancer Rising. So
Hmm.
like obviously heavy water, and then just like chaotic rodeo clown moon energy, which I love, which is one of my favorite parts of my chart. But I don't think I would be like a cutesy mermaid. Like, I don't think I would be like flipping my tail on a rock, like with a shell bra. Like, I definitely envision myself as more like a dark mermaid, like the kind in the tournament in Harry Potter where they're like screaming underwater.
Hmm.
Like, well, that's also how I've felt this week. I've felt like very moody this week. I wonder why. Um, but I think so. I would look how I look right now, and obviously you can't see me, but pretty cute if I do say so myself, but definitely edgy and a little off-putting. That's what it would be. I would be like an off-putting mermaid. Like I would be the mermaid that's telling jokes in the corner and like laughing at them themselves, like not waiting for other people to think they're funny. And that's also how I would lure people in is by telling bad jokes and they think that I'm talking to other people, but I'm just laughing by myself and then I'll like pull them under. I don't know if I have the power to make other mermaids happen, but it might be cool to have a companion at some point. Anyway, I'm
Uh,
also earth toned.
oh, you're earth toned, like the
Yeah.
tail and the body, or where?
Like I feel like I probably have like frosted tips on my tail, so I feel like I'm a neutral, almost like olive green color
Mm.
tail with like a gross contrast, like orange, like frosted tips on the end of my tail.
Oh,
And yeah, but it only shines in certain light.
oh my
And
gosh.
yeah, I don't know. I think my hair is like probably shoulder length like it is right now too. Like I'm not out here with a big massive hair behind me looking intimidating. I'm just like people are like there's something off about that mermaid and I'm like, yeah, you're right. Come find out.
The best answer. Wow. Mm-hmm. Yeah. What color are your eyes as a mermaid?
My eyes are the same color that they are in my waking life because I love my eyes. They're like a hazel, but they're very light colored, so they're like almost like a gray hazel green, which I like.
Yeah, you have awesome eyes.
Thanks.
I was thinking that. I was like, I feel like they would be the same, but I like,
Yeah.
you know, I like the way you answered it. Okay, so I have Venus in Pisces. So that's where my Pisces is. And where I feel, where I feel Piscean is obviously through the Venus lens. I think that if I were a mermaid, which I am, it would definitely it would
Yes.
definitely be in the like I would be a very erotic mermaid. Like
Yeah.
that I feel erotic with mermaid. I feel like I mean maybe a little stereotypical, maybe a little classical, like just like on the rock with the boobies out. But
Yeah.
I'm like thinking, I think I have to have the underwater harp that actually works underwater because,
Oh,
that's like my dream is to play a harp underwater.
yeah. I didn't even think about like props. That's a whole different conversation. Well, I just feel like my whole house would be underwater, so I would have like everything I needed.
Yeah,
But
totally.
an underwater instrument, gorgeous. Like, can you imagine the soundscape of play? No, that's gorgeous.
It would be
I
so
would love to
cool.
be in an underwater mermaid band with you. That would be a dream.
Oh my gosh, let's dream that up. I feel like that's how
Yes.
I dream sometimes.
Yes.
Um, I'm like, my colors, what will my colors be? Do you see my
Yeah.
colors? I'm like, I don't know.
I'm getting like this honestly like very nice kind of I like corally pink, but not like too orange. I don't know.
Hmm.
It's something like it's definitely a warm tone that I'm seeing, but I'm seeing like a forest green contrast. I'm getting a lot.
That's so, okay. I was gonna say because my favorite color is like the peachy pink, like that you'd see in a sunrise or a sunset.
Hmm.
And I was like, no, this is somewhere in me, like as a mermaid. I'm like, is it my tail? Is it my hair? I kind of like the idea of having like a really dark forest green hair and then like a really
Yeah.
fun pinky corally tail, which kind of brings in
Ooh.
salmon. I'm like, I don't know if I feel salmon, but you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah. No, I
and then
get the vibe.
the scales have to have that like otherworldly iridescence on them.
Oh, without saying. I have that too. That's just, it comes
Yeah,
with the territory. Like, if you're going to be a mermaid,
you have
you're
to
going
do
to be
it.
iridescent. Yeah.
I know. I feel like I need to write poems now about being a mermaid. This is a whole situation. Um anyway, that was really fun. Um yeah, anything that you want to close with or that you want to share with us?
um, I was really excited to do this, and I've been really excited this whole conversation. Thank you for sharing space with me. I think it's been a really fun conversation.
Hmm.
And I also would like to clarify that yes, there would be something off-putting about me as a mermaid, but the thing that makes me off-putting would also make me a sexy mermaid. Like I would also be erotic in the sense that like people wouldn't know how they felt about me.
I like it. Hmm.
Yeah. So I'm with you because I feel like mermaids are inherently erotic. I feel like the ocean is actually just inherently erotic.
Hmm.
So,
It's interesting. I have a shell here that like an oyster shell. And it's like just one of those things that anytime I hold the shell, it just really brings in that energy, like that power. And
mm,
um I remember like doing this paper in grad school about the archetype of the mermaid, and I was like, why am I just so I've been attracted to mermaids since I was a kid.
me too. Oh my gosh.
I
That's
don't
such a
know.
different story.
Maybe we're not closing this conversation. We are gonna go into mermaid. No, I'm just like um
Well, yeah, no, keep going.
no, I was gonna say like I'm like, why do I love mermaid? And I think that it's that whole the part that excites me the most, I think, about mermaid is the swimming to depths and then coming up for
Yep.
air. And because I feel like that's my 12th house, which is ruled by
Hmm.
Capricorn. Um, and I have like a million placements there, so like that's kind of how I've landed on doing a lot of dream work with people and
Hmm.
bringing that work out. But like I love that process of like going into the depths and bringing it up, and that's like art for me. It's dream work, it's psychology, like there's all these things. I love talking with people and like going into these like weird little caverns and then bringing something up. And you've been such a fun guest because like you like you just do it, you do it naturally. Like I could have just probably been quiet and you would have just done it, and it's just it's so fun to me, and I think that's what excites me the most about creative process, so I'm like, gosh, mermaid is so exciting with that. And then the song and the voice, like I can't forget, like singing is such a big part of my life, and I'm like, of course, like the siren song. But like sometimes when I
Yeah.
hear siren song, it's like the creepy thing, and it's like, no, I don't feel that for me, and I don't feel it as a manipulation on men. Like I have no interest in that with
Yeah.
mermaid. I just want to sing for the world. So
Right.
that's how I feel mermaid archetype, I think, the most, and what excites me about it.
I have like so much more to say, but I'll try to keep it
No,
brief.
go for it. Yeah.
Um, so first thing that comes to my mind just based off of what you just said, like the siren thing and having no interest in doing that with men. There's a lyric in one of my songs that is describing like this relationship that shouldn't have happened and how I kind of lost myself in that. And the word choice I chose for that lyric was I morphed into a thoughtless siren because I feel like that's
Mm.
not a power that you should wield irresponsibly.
Hmm.
So that was the first thing. And then the second thing was like, yeah, I've wanted to be a mermaid since I was a kid. And this is what I was talking about with Marlena the other day because we were talking, I was actually popping off a little bit. And I was like, I remember seeing Barbie in Mermaidia on my like little mini DVD player when I was probably like 9 or 10 and watching that movie every night. And specifically watching the scene where like Barbie like gets the ability to breathe underwater. I was like, if I had that ability, it would be all over, man. I would all over the place, like exploring every cavern, like wreaking havoc, just having the time of my life. And so I've always just like, I feel like that was one of those really treasured like memories of being a kid where it just felt like I still feel like that's possible. Like I have wild dreams too, which is a conversation for another day. And I really do feel like I live in those places when I'm in my dreams.
Mm-hmm.
But that was the first time in like my childhood life that I could remember being like so steeped and invested in a world outside of the physical that I like felt it in my body to be true that I belonged in Mermaidia.
Mm. Oh, the inner child, like it so resonates. And for me, like as a mom of a toddler, it's just like it's just amplifying at this age, like that seeing that just that like creation and just my son Ollie has started to say, "Mommy, I dreams."
Yay!
And then he told me he dreamt of a quesadilla the other day.
Oh my gosh.
And
Yes.
I didn't laugh at him, but I had to laugh later because I was like, that was just so cute and funny and innocent. But but yeah, just like
Love
that
it.
inner child, like pure innocence, and um also like just pure liminality, and trust and belief that, there are other worlds and there are other dimensions, and that we can move between them, and like dreams can be a portal to that, and we can create from that
Mm,
space. And then just like how, the whole thing sometimes in adulthood it kind of gets beaten out of you, but it's just so fun to talk with you as an adult who's retained that,
yeah.
and just like the play. And I just feel like our world needs so much more of that because it brings hope and it brings illumination, because
Yes.
it's just coming from such a pure place,
Yeah.
the child. So I have a big heart for the children. In part I feel like this poet cast memento futurum, like remember the future, when I originally felt into it, I felt like it was um around coming out of like past, present, future, and just being like, I remember who I am, so therefore I create the future,
Mm.
that kind of thing. And then somebody mentioned to me, one of my friends was like, yeah, remember the future, like it's for kids, right? And I was like, whoa, whoa.
Whoa.
But like they are the future, and of
Yeah.
course it's like the inner child of every person that comes on the podcast, that's in the world, like, and then the children. So I don't know, it was just like a very interesting integration that just, happened here. So oh
Yeah.
girl, wow, thank you. Anywho, yeah,
Anywho.
I'm gonna link all of the things that we talked about. Is there a link to the
Yeah.
song that you mentioned with that lyric?
Oh, I haven't released it yet, but
Okay.
for all like of my music updates, they all go on Love Puppet from here on out. So that's LUVPUPIT. Well, I spelled it wrong. There are two P's. I'm not gonna try to spell
So funny.
it again.
We'll link it so,
It's
people
linked.
can check it out. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And it's like, just people, if you're listening, if any of this resonated, like go check Mick out, please. And
Please.
it's so, everything you post, I'm just always like, I'm very intrigued. It's just so interesting. I love the art. Um, and it's
Thanks.
been such a pleasure to chat with you.
Oh,
Um,
this has been so fun and the
yeah,
best. Thank you.
thank you. So yeah, gosh, I'm sad it's ending. Anyway, we will talk to all of you soon, and I hope that all of you are well. Today is Imolk, I have to mention this, which is like the return of the
Mm.
light, first dawn of spring.
Yay.
So, maybe winter's not feeling so harsh, and new things are budding. So, whew. All right, toodly doodly, everybody. I'll see you soon. Bye.
Bye.